The nation will have the weapon in their vote to put in place leaders who can turn around the economy. The former vice president warning that choices have consequences and Kenyans will only have themselves to blame if they accept to balkanize along ethnic lines to elect self-centered leaders.
Na tukizungumza hiyo fuliza yale makubwa yanakuja kwenu kama ongezo kwa ushuru, kwa sababu serikali haina pesa.
The nation, according to Mudavadi, will require a dedicated leader who will be able to resuscitate the badly battered economy.
We must know that there are going to be a lot of repairs to be done and cleanups before we move to the next level.
The ANC party leader used the pulpit to defend his decision to support the BBI, saying most of the issues he was uncomfortable with in the first report have been amended.
And the document that came out, the one that I was now putting a signature to at KICC, was now an amended document. And the concerns we had raised, at least 80% of them had now been dealt with.
He called on the Senate to allow the rule of the law when it deliberates on the impeachment of Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko and stop impunity.
Na tafaa tuangalie kaunti ya Nairobi kama city, mimi nimehudumu kama mayor. Hapo kuna pia njia ya msamaha, kwa sababu viongozi hao wote tunahitajiana.
Let us speak the truth. How did you arrive at a stage until impeachment is on the table? It's because of impunity. Because you don't want to follow the law. We need leaders who shall know and appreciate the rule of the law.
A section of Nairobi leaders who had accompanied him drummed support for his 2022 presidential bid.
Na hiyo contract ni mpaka 2022. Siwezi ruka Uhuru Kenyatta. Because I'm a man of principle, I'm a man of my word. But your contract sitaisha. And after that, I am 100% fully behind Musalia Mudavadi.
Sababu nyinyi mkienda mahali mnasema wewe na nani ndio viongozi wa Luya. Hatutaki wewe na nani. Wewe. Sababu ukisema wewe na huyu mnatuconfuse. Wacha mwingine akue namba 2.
Suleiman Yeri, Channel 1 News.
Elsewhere, the Kongamano la Mageuzi Caucus group has vowed to rally Kenyans to defend the current constitution from what they claim is planned mutilation by the Building Bridges Initiative bill. The lobby group claims that by all design, the BBI bill is well crafted to reward the political class with positions at the expense of Kenyans who are facing harsh economic times.
The Kongamano la Mageuzi civil society group has reiterated the need for citizens to reject the Building Bridges Constitution amendments, terming the exercise illegal and not citizen-centered.
We know that the political class have been intimidated. They are quiet not because they all support the BBI. Out of intimidation and threats, they have kept quiet. But we are saying that we are the ones who put them in office. The masses are much more stronger and have got a stronger voice than the political class of this country.
The civil society group pointing out that the amendments are aimed at creating political seats for the political elite and there was nothing for the common Kenyan.
It seeks to bring back the imperial presidency, the derogation of rights, state capture of institutions, inequalities in representation and in allocation of resources, geared to give fresh impetus to the infamous sessional paper number 10 of 1965.
And even now, towards the fight of the tyranny of money, the tyranny of capitalism, the tyranny of the political elite, the victims are going to be the poor workers and the peasants of our country. And the rest of the people have to stand, and defend this space.
Group warning that Kenyans tend to lose more despite the promises entrenched in the BBI draft bill. They have called on the political class to focus on strengthening the economy, which has been badly battered by the coronavirus pandemic.
The Building Bridges Initiative is a pact with the devil, calling on us to reject the referendum and instead focus our collective energy to fighting the COVID-19 pandemic, providing food for the poor and reviving our shattered economy.
Suleiman Yeri, Channel 1 News.
And the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, has confirmed the arrival of ballot papers at the respective polling centers ahead of the 15th December mini-polls in different parts of the country. According to IEBC, the ballot papers are secure with preparations for the by-elections finalized. Among electoral areas that will conduct the by-elections are Msambweni constituency, Dambaso and Kahawa Wendani wards, among others. Campaign period for the mini polls came to a close on Saturday.
With less than 48 hours to the Msambweni, Dambaso and Kahawa Wendani by-elections, IEBC is at the very tail end of its preparations to conduct the exercise. Now, ballot papers have already arrived at the respective electoral areas, with IEBC confirming that the ballot boxes will be opened in the presence of candidates or their representatives before being dispatched to their respective polling stations. In Msambweni, Mombasa Governor Hassan Joho made a last-minute pitch for the party's candidate Omar Boga, claiming he was the best bet to succeed Suleiman Dori.
Mimi naambia mpigieni Boga kura kwa sababu Boga ako na future. Boga ako na nafasi ya siku za usoni. Watu wa Msambweni na Kwale kwa jumla, na wahakikishia huyu kijana anaitwa Boga. Boga ni kiongozi ambaye ameona mbali. Ndio akishikana na watu ambaye wanaenda mbali.
Kwale Governor Salim Vuria led the vote hunting for independent candidate Faisal Bada, who he termed as a visionary young leader. Elsewhere, the race to fill the vacant position of Kahawa Wendani MCA turned to be a supremacy battle between Kiambu County Governor James Nyoro and Gatundu South MP Moses Kuria. Governor Nyoro traversed the ward campaigning for the Jubilee Party candidate Kevin Ochieng Odhiambo, the late MCA Cyrus Omondi's brother. Nyoro called for peaceful elections and urged voters to vote and wait for the results. Kuria took his campaign trail to a Thika hotel after his planned tour in the area was thwarted by presence of rowdy youths. Kuria, who is supporting Bernard Kariuki Karanja of People's Empowerment Party, urged locals to vote for Kariuki, who he said is a mature, visionary and dedicated leader.
Mheshimiwa Sairo, na mnajua ni rafiki yangu, alikuwa rafiki yangu, kwamba kila mtu ako na uhuru na haki ya kuchagua mtu yeyote ambaye anampenda.
The seat fell vacant following the mysterious death of Omondi Elias Gearbox while on official duty in India on February 12th this year. For Channel 1 News, I'm Ben Troinjue.
To the daily COVID-19 update, Kenya's coronavirus positivity rate remained above 5% based on what is recommended by the World Health Organization for a country to have flattened its curve. The country has in the last 24 hours reported 366 new infections from a sample size of 4,205, which brings the total caseload to 91,892 and positivity rate to 8.7%. One patient has succumbed to the disease while 432 others have recovered in the period under review. Nairobi County continues to lead with the highest number of daily coronavirus infections, with the county recording 142 of the 366 infections reported in the last 24 hours from a sample size of 4,205. Kiambu and Samburu counties came in second with 42 cases each, Murang'a 26, Narok 20, Kirinyaga 15, Embu 12, Mombasa 10, Kajiado 8, Nakuru, Busia and Garissa 6 cases each, Meru and Makueni 5 cases each, Machakos and Kilifi 4 cases, Uasin Gishu, Kitui, Mandera, Marsabit, Taita Taveta and Kwale 2 cases each, while Kakamega had a single case. A total of 91,892 people have been infected with the virus since March, while 73,028 others have recovered after 432 patients were given a clean bill of health between Saturday and Sunday. From the new recoveries, 45 were discharged from various hospitals, while 387 from the home-based care program. During the same period, one patient succumbed to COVID-19 disease, bringing the total number of fatalities to 1,587. Meanwhile, the civil society reference group is calling upon both the two levels of government to end the stalemate in the healthcare sector by finding a lasting solution to the ongoing strike by nurses and clinical officers. The group, which acknowledges concerns by medics as viable, condemns the government for failure to protect the frontline healthcare workers as they lead the fight against COVID-19 disease.
I really want to appeal to the Council of Governors to really come out very straight and talk. And that's what I'm saying. They must talk to the doctors and agree on something.
I love you, doctors. I love you, nurses. But I want you to have a dialogue. Please sit down because you're so learned, and have a dialogue, and we treat our own people.
So is there any dialogue ongoing to end the strike that began on Monday by clinical officers and nurses? Let's find out from our conversation tonight on Family Matters. We speak with Boaz Onchari, who is the chair, Kenya National Union of Nurses, Nairobi branch, and also the chairperson for the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, Peterson Washira. They'll be telling us if there are any discussions and why the strike is taking too long, even as the country tries to fight the coronavirus pandemic that has claimed lives of over 1,500. Let's move on. Nanyuki Town, one of Kenya's most valued and famous towns, famous towns, is marking its 100 years since it was established by the colonial government in 1920. Speaking during the celebrations dubbed Nanyuki at 100, Environment Cabinet Secretary Keriako Tobiko said it was unfortunate that the town has lost its glory due to the destruction of the environment that has dealt a big blow to its magnificent rivers.
Nanyuki Town, which saw the settlement of British immigrants in 1907 during the early days of colonial era, has marked 100 years. Nanyuki at 100! During the celebration, a handbook that contains the history of the town since its inception by the colonial government in 1920 was also unveiled.
Appreciating, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now, a century down the line, the town has undergone various developments. However, concerns have been raised over its current status of natural resources. Environment Cabinet Secretary Keriako Tobiko, who was the chief guest during the celebrations, says most of the town's rivers have been depleted, expressing disappointment over neglect by locals.
I do not wish to repeat what has been said about environment, because no one needs to be told why we must protect, conserve our environment. And it is a joint and shared responsibility.
The CS noting that everything possible should be done to enable the town reclaim its former glory. Nanyuki Governor Ndiritu Muriithi said residents and neighboring communities have been embroiled in water-related conflicts that further affect efforts to conserve the environment and water towers.
Some resource conflicts that you are all aware of, particularly if you examine the area between Laikipia and Baringo. The conflicts that occur there between communities are generally driven by scarcity of resource, particularly water.
The leaders further saying the situation is slowly worsening as there is little or no water in the rivers to sustain those depending on them.
And you will see it this January, this February, the tensions that come because the water that is getting through is not enough.
And more so, the conservation of Nanyuki River. A lot of us who live downstream, and Governor, you know, for the last few years, by January, we don't have water down in Gogodo and its environs.
CS Tobiko, however, says all is not lost, noting that Laikipia County government has already signed the transition implementation mechanism with the ministry. On Friday, the county unveiled the town's first ever monument in commemoration of the 100 years. The headstone, in its pyramid shape, has singled Nanyuki from the globe, Kenyan map, Laikipia map, and finally a representation of the famed Nanyuki town. Kamche Mensa for Channel 1 News.
And Museo Holman, you're watching from Vihiga County. Nijad Mbwanga, you're saying that our healthcare workers should not demand for these things. They should be readily available for them. We want people to give their lives for us, but we cannot reciprocate. Tell us, what do you think should be done to end this strike that now enters its 7th day, while the nurses and clinical officers say that they cannot resume duty unless they have adequate and quality personal protective equipment. Among other things, the county governments are saying we do not have the money. Let's find out where the talks to ending this strike are by speaking with our guest tonight, a representative from both the Kenya National Union of Nurses and that of clinical officers. Let's take our first commercial break right here, Channel 1 Weekend. We are back shortly with more news. Stay with us.
When the world changed, it made us go back to the simple joys and love the little things even more, like serving up your best, eating together, and sharing more. Now, we'll take nothing for granted and always remember to taste the simple joys. Enjoy the magic of Christmas with Coca-Cola.
Ni mimi. Ulitoa pikipiki? Mulitani sitaomoka. Ni yako. Hii nduthi ni yangu. Niliwahi pale Quickbit. Quickbit? Quickbit imekuja kusaidia wananchi kama sisi. Nilinunua 399 shillings. Juu nilikuwa the lowest unique bidder. 399 shillings. Quickbit shilingi moja unaweza nunua pizza. Shilingi mbili unaweza nunua microwave. Shilingi tano unaweza nunua hata gari. So tupeleke huko hata mtu aende huko.
Jiunga na Quickbit ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbit.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio ununua. Quickbit, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
You won't sell me for a check.
You don't know me.
Flavia lady wants to consume my father. That's why she invited him to the wedding. That's why she invited him to dinner tonight.
No more flowers. No more insinuation. I am a married woman.
Children will accept me as their mom. Everything will be fine.
We have the same nose for money.
You are also suspecting that it's Bianca.
Thank you so much for staying with us. This is Channel 1 Weekend. Kilifi County has been in the limelight for all wrong reasons, among them the escalation of cases of teenage pregnancies, the vice largely fueled by the coronavirus pandemic that resulted to closing of learning institutions and leaving unattended school-going child or girl child exposed. Many families are at crossroads given that most of the perpetrators of this act are just strangers to the young girls, and efforts to get justice usually hits a snag. Kamche Mensa tells the story of baby mothers of Kilifi and how they struggle to fit in a rather big shoes of mothers.
19-year-old Rotuba Kahindi, a Class 8 pupil at Mikiriani Primary School in Kaloleni Sub-County, has had to learn motherhood at such a tender age.
Asubuhi naamka, naoga, naenda shule. Jioni nikirudi ndivyo namhudumia, kumwosha na kumpea chakula.
She is already bearing the burden of taking care of a child while still a student. She is a victim of teenage pregnancy.
Tulishikana na kijana mwaka wa 2017, kufika mwaka wa 2018 kashika ujauzito.
She claims the man who impregnated her is a boda operator who vanished after the incident. The child is now 2 years and 6 months old. What's more painful, though, is that her family has found itself in a back-and-forth pursuit for justice after reporting the matter to the area chief and at Kizurini police station.
Nikarudi Kizurini, kaweka pitiri hapo, alafu nikaambiwa nenda nyumbani utetiwa. Karudi nyumbani. Baada ya kurudi nyumbani, hiyo pitiri baada ya siku 4 nikachukuliwa tena, nikaambiwa ni pitiri imepotea hapo Kizurini.
Struggling to make ends meet, the mother says that she has been forced to use the little shilling but has not received any help as the perpetrator walks scot-free.
Nasikia kuchomeka sana. Nasikia kuchomeka sana. Hata kama namjua yeye, tenda kamtafuna, lakini vile simjui.
But the challenge in pursuing justice seems to be far deeper. Child rights campaigners within the area decry of delayed justice by police officers in the area. Fatuma Saro, a volunteer children officer, says she has reported about 10 cases that have not been resolved.
Kesi ya huyu msichana nilijaza P3, nikarudisha polisi hiyo P3, wakasema askari akasema atapigia simu assistant chief wa hili eneo ili waone watamkamata vipi kijana. Kuanzia hapo mpaka saa hii hakuna chochote kimefanyika. Kijana yuko kwa barabara, tunamputa kila siku, na msichana ndio alizaa, anateseka. Kila wakati anapitia kwangu ananiambia, mama utanisaidia vipi kama ni mteteaji wa haki za watoto?
And when we follow up with the relevant authorities, it's like the perpetrators are not around to be seen. So you cannot arrest someone who's not around. And we are not very sure, because when we talk to the community, they bring another perspective. That is about laxity somewhere. It's not about the people who are not around, the perpetrators around.
As the world concludes the celebrations on 16 days of activism against sexual and gender-based violence, Rotuba remains one of the many victims of sexual and gender-based violence still seeking justice. Kamche Menza for Channel 1 News.
Winners of this year's Kalasha International and Film Television Awards walked away with 3 million shillings besides the trophies and gift hampers. The Kenya Film Commission awarded each of the winners in the 31 categories with 100,000 shillings each, in addition of the trophy and gifts from the event's sponsors.
The 10th edition of the Kalasha International and Film Television Awards was marked with glamour and style at Sarit Center in Nairobi.
Ruth Moeni in Able Differently.
The Kenya Film Commission Chief Executive Officer Timothy Owase said this year's Kalasha had 31 categories up for contest, 17 under film, while 8 under television and 6 under special awards. The Commission says the annual event aims at awarding excellence in the Kenyan film industry.
Through this award ceremony, we are able to evaluate the industry and get honest feedback that enables us to develop fitting programs that are necessary to propel our growth and benchmark internationally.
KBC's board director, Charles Mulila, presented an award to the best TV advertisement. The Kalasha Awards were graced by ICT Cabinet Secretary Joe Musheru, among other dignitaries.
Through the recent reintroduction of the drive-in cinemas, the Commission now offers content producers an innovative way of content consumption as well as an alternative distribution system.
Meanwhile, the Kenya Film and Classification Board Sunday held the 2020 Kisima Music and Film Award Festival in Nairobi. KFCB Chief Executive Officer Dr. Ezekiel Mtua says the board desire to see more authentic Kenyan stories told through film, but more importantly, the appreciation for clean content
that we can consume as a family, that will encourage our cultures, that will promote our vibrancy, that will reawaken our soul to hard work, to love, to unity, and to peace. And more importantly, that will give the resilience and the power of the African person and humanity.
A Kenya filmmaker, Brian Boogie of Dreamchild Ramadi Production, walked home with 1 million shillings from the Kisima Music and Film Awards under the theme Reawakening the Soul, Spirit and Vibrancy of Africa through Music and Film. Mbugi emerged best from 25 contestants to scoop the award. Devolution Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa was among dignitaries of this year's Kisima Awards. Irene Mchuma Odim, Channel 1.
Congratulations to the winners. Police in Migori County are holding a man found with 54 kilograms of elephant tusks worth 5.4 million shillings. The 40-year-old man was arrested by officers from the Kenya Wildlife Service who were acting on a tip-off from members of the public, and the suspect is now detained at Migori Police Station. According to Migori County Police Commander Manasseh Musyoka, the elephant trophies weighing 54 kilograms were packed in sacks ready for transportation. But the road for the trafficker came to an end when officers from the Kenya Wildlife Services, drawn from both Narok and Migori counties, cornered him.
Efforts of members of public, together with our gallant officers from Langata, KWS and Migori Kilgoris KWS team managed to net these elephant tusks as you see them.
The Migori police boss commended members of the public for alerting the police, urging them to remain vigilant and not shy away from reporting such cases.
Are endangered, and with the future holds on what we do in terms of prevention of this. So more efforts, collaboration between us and the public is encouraged so that our future generations can be able to get a glimpse of live animals.
The suspect is said to have packed the ivories inside a charcoal sack in Narok and was transporting them to Migori.
I would say that they were illegally smuggled. Yeah, just legally smuggled, and we are glad that the members of public were able to give us that information. More information is ongoing, and of course we still have information in terms of falling much more.
According to Musyoka, cases of poaching within Migori have been on the rise. And women from the Maasai community have been challenged to embrace income-earning enterprises to boost the fight against female genital mutilation adversely affecting girl child. Elsewhere, traders in Makadara Estate, Earth River, Machakos County are counting losses after fire raced down their property on Saturday night. Details of this and other stories in the news making headlines in the counties.
Poverty among the Maasai women has been attributed largely to practices such as female genital mutilation, early marriage and pregnancies in most families. To deal with this archaic practice, Kajiado County government departments in collaboration with Maa community-based organizations have introduced several income-generating enterprises, among them indigenous tree planting, to hundreds of Maasai women from Enkinya village, Kajiado Central Sub-County to help eke a living.
Ukeketaji na wasichana kuolewa wakiwa wadogo ni kwa sababu wazazi wamekosa kitu ya kula. Lakini tukipanda miti tulete manufaa kwa environment yetu. Hiyo pia inaweza kusaidia kuinua economy na inaweza kusaidia pia kuondoa mambo mengine ya kitamaduni ambayo wakati huu inazuia watoto kuendelea na masomo na maisha yao.
Elsewhere, Kenya National Highways Authority has revealed that the 84 kilometers along Kenol Sagana Marua dual carriageway will be open for use in December 2021. Through its chair, Engineer Wangai Ndirangu, the first phase of the project will see 36 kilometers of road constructed from Sagana to Marua at a cost of 6 billion shillings, while the second phase will stretch for 48 kilometers from Kenol to Sagana at a cost of 8 billion shillings.
We are trying to optimize the time so that by December of 2021, we have achieved what we call substantial completion in a way that we can open the road to traffic. Perhaps a few things will still be pending, things like the interchanges and the bridges, but the work will be, say, at about an 80% level of completion by December.
Meanwhile, an Italian investor in Malindi, Kilifi County has been forced to hire at least 30 women in the area to clean up garbage that has been left uncollected for months, despite being in a county garbage designated area. Area residents welcomed the move, claiming no county garbage collection officers have been spotted in the area for months.
Ingawaje ni umbali na town, lakini sasa wajue kwamba kuna watu, kuna wazee, kuna watoto, na hizi vitu zikikaa hapa kwa muda huwa zinaleta mahoma, naleta madhara kwa kila aina ya mwanadamu.
While traders in Makadara Estate at River Machakos County are counting losses after fire razed down their property on Saturday night, Athi River Sub-County Police Commander George Kashmiri said no injuries were reported and that police has launched investigations into the cause of the inferno.
Members of the public wawe waangalifu sana sana wale wako na vioski, wasiwache moto ikiwa inawaka.
And finally, hundreds of people living with disability in Kiambu County had a reason to smile after they received wheelchairs and clutches from Kiambu Member of Parliament June Njomo. The legislator urged the government to come up with a policy where visual impaired people should be given special reflector to wear to help cushion them from road accidents.
Our roads are well taken care of so that they are wheelchair friendly. When we are building this school, we had to make sure that it has a ramp so that you can use a wheelchair. Matters disability have been recognized much more than they were before.
Timothy Kipnusu for Channel 1 News.
U.S. Electoral College is set to endorse Joe Biden's victory on Monday. These are thousands of U.S. President Donald Trump's supporters alleging electoral fraud converged on several U.S. sites and towns on weekend. In Washington, D.C., according to police statistics, more than 20 people were arrested and 4 were stabbed. Trump, who lost the November 3rd election to Joe Biden, is yet to concede.
Joe Biden won 306 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 232 in the Electoral College and garnered over 7 million votes, more than his Republican rival in the popular vote. In the nation's capital, police sought to keep the two sides apart, a strategy that included sealing off Black Lives Matter Plaza, where counter-demonstrations had gathered. Trump demonstrators rallying behind the banner "Stop the Steal" were joined by members of the far-right Proud Boys dressed in yellow and black, many wearing bulletproof vests. The Electoral College, which elects U.S. presidents, is set to endorse Biden's victory on Monday. Elsewhere, Germany is set to go into a hard lockdown over the Christmas period as the number of deaths and infections from the coronavirus reached record levels. The new lockdown will run from the 16th December to 10th January, and non-essential shops will close across the country from Wednesday, as will schools with children to be cared for at home whenever possible. The latest figures showed 20,200 more infections and a further 321 deaths. The UK and the EU have agreed to carry on post-Brexit trade talks after a meeting between leaders earlier on Sunday. In a joint statement, Boris Johnson and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen agreed that more talks will continue. The two sides have said that Sunday was the deadline for a decision on whether to continue with the talks, with the UK set to leave EU rules at the end of the month. For Channel 1 News, I'm Ben Troy-Njue.
Let's get the sport, and KCB maintained their unbeaten start to the 2020-2021 FKF Premier League season by beating Kakamega Homeboys 2-0 to move to second position on the table with 9 points after 3 matches. Simon Abuko and David Owino netted the 2 goals for KCB to keep their unbeaten record intact, but sit just behind leaders AFC Leopards, who are on top with 9 points but with a better goal difference. KCB also maintained their clean sheet and have not conceded any goals so far this season. Vihiga United recorded their first win of the season, defeating Zoya Sugar 2-1 to climb up to 11th on the table, while Wazito were held to a goalless draw by Posta Rangers. Moving on, Kayole Starlets began their 2020-2021 FKF Women League season on a winning note after thrashing Mathare United 4-0 at the Steamer grounds in Nairobi. Thika Queens also registered a win in their opening encounter, beating Ulinzi Starlets 2-1.
Kayole Starlets have begun their 2020-2021 FKF Women League season on a winning note by humbling Mathare United 4-0 at Steamer grounds in Nairobi. A brace from Leslie Anyango and 2 more goals from Christine Goizi and Helena Kinyi sealed the easy win for Starlets, leaving coach Joshua Sakwa confident of registering better results this season.
Although unapata ligi ni ngumu juu unapata team zinashuka team 3. So kwanza kitu ya kwanza tunaanza kufight relegation. Ndio at least tujue kama tunaweza kwenda kucompete kwa trophy kwa namba na ama kwanza aim yetu kubwa kwanza ni kumake sure kwanza tumetoka kwa relegation.
Starlets were missing 3 key players for the encounter that saw them score 3 goals in the first half without conceding and netted the 4th midway through the second half. Mathare coach Mary Odhambo was disappointed with the heavy loss, demanding a better performance from her players in their next encounter.
Tumeanza season vibaya, tumefungwa bao 4, of which kwangu mimi naona ni nyingi sana. Inamaanisha kuna kitu tulikuwa tunafanya but hesabu haijafika vile tulikuwa tunataka, and inamaanisha opponents wametufunga 4-0 na sisi hatukufunga hata bao moja, so inamaanisha bado tuna problem pia kwa finishing, ama tuseme in general tuna problem kwa team simply because defense line ilishindwa kuzuia hizo bao 4, then attackers pia walishindwa kufunga.
Thika Queens also registered a win in their opening encounter played earlier in the morning at the Utali grounds. Thika Queens defeated Ulinzi Starlets 2-1 to secure 3 vital points. A total of 7 matches were played today as the season kicked off, with all the players having undergone COVID-19 testing before the matches kicked off today.
Mengi Sumu are this year's champions of the TJ Kajwang Raraka Championship after dispatching Lebon FC 1-0. An entertaining football final played today at Babadogo grounds in Raraka constituency. More than 100 teams took part in the tournament, which started back in November.
Mengi Sumu are this year's champions of the TJ Kajwang Raraka Championship after beating Lebon FC 1-0 in the men football final played today at the Babadogo grounds. The championship, which started on 14th of last month, saw Babadogo women bagging the netball title after seeing off Korogocho women in the final. Mengi Sumu were rewarded with playing kits, football and a cash reward of 100,000 shillings, while Lebanon FC walked home with 50,000 shillings. The championship was organized by Raraka MP TJ Kajwang. Meanwhile, the Wajir County government says they will invest in sports facilities as a way to ensure that the youths in the area are not engaged in evil activities. The county government promised to renovate the Wajir Stadium, challenging the youths to engage themselves in the various sporting disciplines and showcase their talents as they also earn rightfully. This would in turn bring peace in the region that has not been at peace for a very long time.
Nyinyi ukiendelea hivyo na mujaribu ku engage yourselves in such activities, sports na kadhalika, unasahau maneno ya kusema unaenda kwa Al-Shabaab, sijui unaenda kwa mahali zingine. Hizo should be a thing of the past. Al-Shabaab wanaweza kuambia watakupatia pesa, watakupatia $, ukifika tu huko you cannot come back. Unajua ni kama imprisonment, you cannot come back.
The peace message to the youths was passed during the final of the Wajir Football Cup, which saw Halane defeat Iftin 4-2 and lift the 2020 Jamhuri title.
Nairobi West Prison's Magereza darts team was crowned this year's Magereza Cup champions after finishing top in the final day of the 2020 edition that culminated at Nairobi West Prison's grounds in Nairobi. 10 teams that feature in the National League featured in the championship.
Magereza darts team finished top in Group A with 44 points, while Museum team was second with 31 points. Rongai Police settled for the third position with 30 points. Magereza had an exemplary performance in Group A after claiming a 6-4 points win over APTC before registering a similar result against Njadaini. The team claimed a victory against Mang team to emerge victorious in Group A. In Group B, Rongai Prisons beat Committee Lions by 7 points. In Group B, Rift Valley Prisons beat Committee Lions by 7 points to 3, while Rongai Police claimed an 8-2 win over Committee Lions. The tournament was aimed at preparing teams for next season's league campaign. Frederick Muki for Channel 1 Sports.
And Jeffrey scored a late Crystal Palace equalizer after a mistake by Hugo Lloris to deny leaders Tottenham victory before their top of the table game at Liverpool on Wednesday. Southampton had earlier moved into the Premier League's top 4 by sweeping aside bottom club Sheffield United.
And he comes.
Unified boxing world heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua mixed power and patience as he knocked out Kubrat Pulev last night at Bolster hopes that a historic fight against Tyson Fury could soon be a reality. The British heavyweight smashed home a hard right hand in round 3 that forced his mandatory challenger to face a count and then sent him to the canvas with an uppercut seconds later. It was Joshua's first time in the ring in more than a year, defending his WBA and IBF and WBO heavyweight world titles. That brings us to the end of the first part of KBC Channel 1 Weekend tonight. Joshua Monguru Ishmael, you're watching from Kisii. Grace Atieno, you're watching from Kakamega County, and Geoffrey Musawa watching from Lucky Sama. Thank you so much for watching. Of course, coming up next is Family Matters. We look into the welfare of healthcare workers. On Monday, the clinical officers and nurses downed their tools, and they have several demands, 7 of them, but top on that list is provision of quality and adequate personal protective equipment and also a comprehensive medical cover. Yesterday, when the head of state was giving his Jamhuri Day speech, he did say that changing or a robust change in the sector, in the health sector, is a work in progress. So let's have a look at what the healthcare workers are saying, whether there are any negotiations going on to ending that strike, coming at a time when over 91,000 Kenyans have tested positive for COVID-19. Keep talking to us on Twitter at Purity_Museo and at KBC Channel 1. Use the hashtag is Family Matters KBC. Let's have a look at the weather forecast, and then I'll be seeing you on the other side of this break. Stay with us.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to Channel 1 Weather Updates. My name is Irene Mchuma Udim. Weatherman says you should expect reduction of wet conditions over most parts of the country in the next 24 hours. As for tonight, the whole country is covered with partly cloudy conditions, save for the coastal strip where there are showers over a few places, and that is how the night will be. Tomorrow it will be sunny over most parts of the country, starting from the northwestern to the northeastern to the coastal strip, southeastern lowlands, the capital and counties around the region. The Lake Basin region and western sector will mainly be sunny. Only a few areas in the county of Lamu and also Malindi and Mombasa will experience wet conditions over a few areas. In the afternoon, we'll see a reduction of wet conditions across the country from what we experienced today, especially over the western parts of the country. These showers accompanied by thunderstorms will only be experienced in the county of Kisumu and around the lake, the northern parts and the coastal strip. The southeastern lowlands, the capital, will mainly be sunny. Let's have a look at temperatures, and this is how it will be. Tomorrow, Lodo will experience the highest at 36 degrees Celsius. The capital will experience highs of 26. And tonight in the capital, we are experiencing highs of 16 degrees Celsius. And for you in Lamu, tomorrow, be prepared for highs of 32 degrees Celsius. Let's now cross the borders and have a look at the international forecast. We do appreciate you. Do have a good night and a blessed day ahead.
On the next episode of Corner.
Niko poa. Mambo ma workout.
The second he starts being associated with Corner.
I know what I'm doing.
What's wrong with you?
Mami, lazima grow up what you behave kama mtoi.
If anything happens to anyone I love, I will hunt you down.
Smile! You're a winner! Champion! Just smile!
Simon broke up with me.
Jitu mbona udhika sana hivyo kinyona mimi na Pami pamoja?
You knew the terms of this deal.
A love from the past will mark the love from today.
I love you, Mauro. I love you like I have never loved before.
Now the same obsession that ruined the past will try to destroy the present. Only this time, love will have more than one obstacle ahead.
I need a doctor to tend to her right away. Please, miss. A doctor. Call a doctor.
Loving you is all I want.
Gear up and maintain a healthy, fit and active lifestyle right there at home by keeping up with Gear Up on Channel 1, 5:30 to 6 a.m. Monday to Saturday. Gear up every day for every moment, and remember to stay home and keep safe. Athletics Kenya is credited for starting organized athletics following its formation in 1950, when it was known as the Kenya Amateur Athletics Association, to become a powerhouse with great achievements to behold. And that is why this Tuesday, the 15th of December, Athletics Kenya will be commemorating 70 years of existence. Your true sports partner, KBC Channel 1, will ensure you don't miss out of such a prestigious occasion, as they honor the men and women who made it happen. Let's join the celebrations from 10 a.m. in a true Kenyan spirit.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight on this episode of Family Matters. My name is Purity Museo. Clinical officers and nurses downed their tools on Monday with a number of demands. It's 7 days on, and services, we say, are paralyzed in most hospitals, public hospitals in the country. So let's speak with the clinical officers, representatives, of course, the union official and that of the Kenya National Union of Nurses, to just tell us whether there are any discussions going on to ending this strike. Are we seeing a second week of a continued strike, or are we expecting them to announce that it's over and their demands, or maybe they have reached a compromise with the county governments involved? Next to me is Boaz Onchari. He is the chair, the Kenya National Union of Nurses Nairobi branch. Thank you so much, Boaz, for being here tonight.
Thank you, Purity.
And at the far end is Peterson Wachira, who is the chair for the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers. Welcome to the show, Bwana Peterson.
Thank you.
All right, let's begin with the latest. 7 days on, are we ending the strike on the part of nurses or not?
You know, it is the government that is on strike. We nurses are demanding things that are realistic and that should be provided. So the sooner the government responds to our issues, then we will resume our duties.
That's
but as it is, we are not going to relent.
You're not going to relent?
Yes.
Okay. Peterson, clinical officers, have you reached a compromise with the other side?
No, not yet. We haven't had any solution or resolution to any of the demands presented. And so we continue staying out of duty because we cannot be able to work in an environment that is unsafe. And so I associate with the sentiments of my colleague here that actually it's the government that is on strike, because you cannot go to a war when you have not actually been given the armor. Yes.
So between Monday and Sunday today, do we have any talks that have been ongoing with the concerned employers?
So there has been talks. We have had several meetings with the multi-agency committee, the now famous multi-agency committee, consisting of actually basically everybody who should be there to make the decisions and to make it work. But unfortunately, I think after 1 week, we have not been able to get any solution. And that is why we remain on strike. And I must repeat again that we are not on strike because we are demanding for anything other than to ensure that we have a safe environment to be working under. And Article 41 of the Constitution provides that it is a right of every worker to have an environment that is conducive, that is safe, for them to be able to work in. Same with the Occupational Safety and Health Act. In Section 14, it actually directs, it mandates that if you are an employee and you find that the environment you are working under presents an imminent threat to your health, you are mandated by law to exit that environment, report to the immediate supervisor, and not to return to that environment until an audit has been done and shows that the working environment is actually safe. And that is why I'm saying that that is why we are saying that it's the government that is on strike, because they are the ones who are in charge of the environment.
Boaz, Peterson is saying you've been having talks with the multi-agency teams, I believe from the Ministry of Labour. So, and you are still on strike. Does it mean do you need all of your demands, we'll be talking about them, met before going back to work, or why are you not agreeing on ending this strike?
You know, when we gave our demands, it is because we know the government is in a position to provide. So even if there are talks, the government has not given any counter offer in relation to what we are asking for. So when they are telling us that we are going to implement, or they are saying that what we are asking for is unrealistic, then let them come out clearly and say what is realistic as per or as per our demand, before they engage us in different talks or side shows that we are looking into these issues. So yes, talks were there last week, but then there's no offer that has been given from the government to say, out of all this that you've demanded, we are able to implement A, B, C, D, then let's now look on if there are any other than need long-term solutions. Then at least I know from that end, the unions may seek for further guidance on how these issues will. But as it is, if they haven't given any offer, then we still say that our issues are valid, our issues must be met before we resume duties. Yes.
And when you say the talks that you're having, the COG has said that not all counties are on strike. Let us understand which specific, and not really specific, but how many counties are affected by the ongoing strike?
No, it is wrong to lie to Kenyans that counties are, not all counties are on strike. What we know, because we communicate with our members, all the 47 counties, nurses are out. We only know of Kenyatta National Hospital.
Same case with clinical
MTRH.
officers? All the 47 counties?
Yeah, what is happening, Purity, and I think it's unconstitutional, is that some of the counties are threatening the contracted staff. And I've seen some memos, the latest I think being from the Kajiado County, asking the UHC and the contracted staff and the county contracted staff to go back to work, and threatening them with sack, and even telling them that their contracts, they are breaching their contracts by participating in the activities of a union, of which we know that the Constitution actually prohibits any limitation of that right, especially through a contract of employment as provided under the Employment Act. So what they are doing, and I think we gave a statement on Friday, is that there are contracted staff who are actually being forced to work, and they are being threatened. And I think what we are doing as a union is that we are collecting evidence, because later we will be going to court to sue them, because number one, that is illegal. I actually don't know if they understand the law. And number two, we are sensitizing them that number one, they have the right to participate, to join and participate in the activities of the union. And number two, they also have the right to enjoy the law equally to other employees who are on PNP, including that of occupational safety and health. And so nobody should actually force them to work in an environment that is unsafe. So that is why the Chair Council of Governors can come out and say, we have some services in some counties, because I think they have agreed to actually go that direction that is actually illegal. But I can assure you that we will be able to get them back. And some counties, also like Tharaka Nithi, they have actually gone to court, procured a court order suspending the strike. But now, you know, sometimes you wonder, and I don't want to discuss about matters in court, but when you force a worker back to an environment that they have gone out because they have said it was unsafe, and they have reported, because it says you report to the immediate supervisor and the occupier who is there, who is the employer, then what are you saying? Are you condemning them to the imminent threat to health that was there? And so what we will be doing is that we will be also reporting again to the occupier who is the employer, and we will be withdrawing them as per the Occupational Safety and Health Act, so that they can also stay away from the imminent threat to their health until the employer can be able to do an audit and show that the environment is actually safe. They will not be able to contract COVID-19, because we cannot actually allow law to be used to force our members to work under unsafe environments.
All right, Boaz, let me get back to you.
Yeah.
You are saying that there's no counter offer from the employer, and I presume the employer here is the county governments, the 47 county governments, right? So what exactly is going on those boardrooms while the officials, you officials, negotiate with the employer? What are they saying? Are they saying your demands are unrealistic, that like they're saying in public?
Purity, I want to tell you that much of the issues that we're asking, the only person or the only entity that can handle them is not even at the county level. For instance, when we are asking for a risk allowance, you remember even Governor Mutua from Machakos was ready even to give an offer in terms of risk allowance, but then SRC came in and stopped it. So when they're saying that the issues that we are, yes, I know there are issues that county governments could handle in part of our demands, but much of what we are asking is the national government, including the Council of Governors and SRC, must sit and come out with a clear line on what we are asking for.
And the COG in a statement dated the 10th of December said that the striking medics do not have issues with all the 47 counties, therefore they should resolve the issues with the specific counties.
I don't think there is any mad medic who could be saying that we don't have PPEs, if at all those counties have. We all know what is happening in Kemsa. When we say we don't have PPEs, we don't have PPEs. When we're saying that we don't have a risk allowance, a nurse in Machakos is like a nurse in Nairobi. So why could you say that we have specific counties that don't have issues when other counties have issues? What we are asking as per the number of issues we want the employer address are issues that are cutting across.
So how many issues do you have and what are they?
You know, Purity, we have a number, we have almost 12 issues that we want the employer address. But there are those that are pressing.
Okay.
We are saying that the government must provide a comprehensive medical cover. I want to tell you in Nairobi as we speak, AAR that was procured by the county government under Mike Sonko has now been terminated because it is in arrears of 855 million. So if that medical cover has been terminated, now we don't have a medical cover. No health worker in Nairobi has a medical cover. So that is what we want, that we must have a comprehensive medical cover. We must have a group life insurance cover. Our risk allowances must be looked into. We are demanding of not less than 30,000 of a risk allowance because we all understand what we are being exposed to. So these are the crucial issues that we want the employer to address so that we go back to our work. But we cannot commit suicide simply because someone wants to say that, you know, this is an oath that you took, you have to go defend. My brother said, you cannot go into a war when you are not well armed. This is a war everyone knows. No one has a cure for it. But you want to force us to go to those environments. We work in those environments without protective gears, without a risk allowance, without a medical cover. We will not commit.
So according to the nurses, because you said you have 12 issues,
yes,
but you mentioned two. You mentioned the personal protective equipment and medical cover. Once those two are addressed, a nurse is going to go back to
risk
work.
allowance,
risk allowance, medical cover.
Employment of 7,000 nurses that are out, that have actually graduated from government institutions, and the government is leaving them out. We have a stretched workforce that is out, and that is why you're seeing even our colleagues are even quitting and going to other countries. It is because the employer does not want to address the real issues. We have more than 7,000 nurses who have qualified but don't have jobs. Yes.
Peterson, let me ask you, we are in the middle of a pandemic, right?
Yeah.
And all those issues that you're talking about, for example, employment, which ones would you say? I know every issue is important, but for the sake of fighting the coronavirus pandemic, from the 12 issues that you have, which ones, once addressed, you are ready to relent and go back to work as you continue with talks to resolving the rest of the issues?
Yeah, maybe let me answer it this way so that you understand where we are coming from.
Right.
First, we don't have the right PPE. The Ministry of Health has provided the guidelines on rational use of PPEs. By that, they say that if you are working in an environment that is in a consultation room, where you are going to meet any other Kenyan who you don't know may have respiratory symptoms or not, and most often you're actually going to get them because about more than 65% of what we see is respiratory illnesses. Then you're supposed to have, at the minimum, eye protection in form of goggles or face shield, and a mask which is N95, because in some circumstances you are going to perform aerosol-generating procedures like nebulization and such. And then, in addition, you should also have an apron. So that is just basic. We don't have that. So we cannot sit and wait and say KEMSA has not released, and so we are going to allow ourselves to be exposed. So we have actually been purchasing this PPE using our own money, to some extent that it has reached a point when we cannot actually be able to do this anymore, and that is why we have decided that enough is enough. Then, after they don't give you the right PPE, they will then not cover you once you fall ill and you're hospitalized. To make even the matters worse, once you succumb, they do not even compensate your family. And that is why we are saying it's like sending soldiers to a foreign country to go and fight. Then when they are injured, you don't provide them with a cover on how you are going to treat them, and you don't compensate their family. And that is why our demands are actually aligned to that. Because what we are asking is, we have personal protective equipment worth 6.5 billion lying somewhere. And then we are told, because of this bureaucracy and some paperwork, we are going to delay as you continue dying, and you should understand that we cannot accept. That is why we are saying they must be released very fast. You know, when we talk about a risk allowance, somebody may think that we are being selfish and we are being greedy. But I can assure you, like now I'm telling you that we buy our own N95. You are supposed to use one N95 a day. An N95 costs about 750 shillings. Our risk allowance is 3,000. So how many days are you going to purchase this N95 using your risk allowance? And that is why we have actually been asking for 30,000, because of now the added risk, plus actually the risk we have been working under even before COVID. And so for us actually is that all the considerations, and I must also add before I leave this, that now that you're supposed to actually pay for yourself when you fall ill and purchase some of the protective equipments, some counties like Kirinyaga and Vihiga have not actually paid their employees for 15 good months. And so sometimes you wonder, how is this person even supposed to have a good nutrition? Because with corona, we don't have any medication that is specific. You have to just ensure that your immunity is very good, and you don't even have some things like psychological stress that is going to actually lower your immunity. So all our demands are actually aligned to that, to ensure that there is safety, and safety includes that you are also healthy, and healthy includes even the mental status. So that is why we have been providing these demands. They are very urgent, and they should actually be able to resolve them, because it's something that has been in the purview of the government. We have been discussing about the issues of risk allowance since 2017. Both of us, the Kenya National Union of Nurses and the clinic officers in our CBS, there are things that they do understand. There are things that they could have actually been able to resolve in 3 days. So I think what we are lacking is goodwill. It's not an issue of they cannot be able to resolve the issues. It's an issue of goodwill.
All right. Apart from the statement that we saw from the COG on Thursday, I really want to understand what are the people that you are negotiating with saying about your demands? Are they saying they are unrealistic? Are they just listening and ending meetings? What exactly is happening?
You know, a multi-agency was formed then teams were formulated from specific people who are supposed to deal with these issues. Other than the statement that we had from COG and the minister in charge of health, much I may not say as per what, because this is a team that has been formed and it going to look into these issues. So as at now, they haven't said that these are issues that cannot be addressed. They haven't said that these are not issues that are realistic. Other than these political tones, and you see, if we go that the political way, if they want to politicize the issues of health, then at the end of the day, we may not achieve. So from our end is we request them that they sit on the table, look at these issues, address them without any sideshows. Then we are able to resolve this.
Okay.
Purity, just before I forget, remember as we speak, we have lost 29 nurses. Part of even what we are demanding for is let the government compensate the families of our colleagues who have succumbed to COVID-19. They succumbed in the line of duty. We have counties that have not paid salaries for 14 months. Our BSN interns haven't been paid despite working in challenging environments. We have our UHC nurses. Phase 1, phase 2, now I don't know if another phase 3. They haven't been paid. And these are people who are being forced to go and even work in those environments that we are saying are not safe. So when you look at these issues, and then someone says that these are demands that are unrealistic.
And while you have your challenges, COG as well says that they are also facing a number of them, and one of them, they say that undue delays in disbursement of funds to county governments to date. County governments have not received their monthly allocation for October, November and December, amounting to over 60 billion shillings, and this means a delay in salary payments. They are also saying that we urge healthcare workers to understand the prevailing circumstances that we are facing globally, nationally and at county level, and lend their support in this global war that we have never faced before. On your issues, they say the 4 issues that cut across all counties are being addressed by a multi-agency committee headed by the Labour Ministry. Peterson. So would you relent when you have a look at what they're saying, that there is delay in disbursements of funds from the National Treasury, and they have not received any allocation for October, November and December? So this means they do not have money.
Yeah, maybe I can start by commenting on the previous question and say that actually they appreciate that actually our grievances are valid, but I think what we are losing is the urgency, because 7 days have passed and we have not been able to get any resolution. But let me also say now on your question that we are paid from the exchequer, from the treasury, whether you are under the county or the national government. Why is it affecting the health sector? Why not the teachers? Why not the police? Why not the judges? I think that is the question that we should actually be asking, and that is why we are providing them with a solution. But then they don't want to accept this solution, and it's a solution for the posterity. The Health Service Commission, so that we can have one body that manages the human resources for health centrally, and so it will be getting the budgetary allocation from Parliament and direct from Treasury. And then you will never hear these issues of small issues of poor management of human resources for health. Because if you look at the past 7 years since devolution came into being, we have had a lot of unrest. But if you can be able to analyze and summarize the reasons as to why we go on strike, are reasons that should never take any critical sector into a strike and interrupt services, because they are simple issues of HR management. We go on strike because of promotions, redesignations, because you have delayed a salary, because you have not paid a salary for 15 months. And I think the biggest problem with that, and I think at some point we must be able to be candid with ourselves and Kenyans, because I think we have a duty to inform our people so that they can make an informed decision, is that the biggest problem with the health sector is politicization. We decided to take a critical sector and give it to politicians, because county governments, we are now managed by governors who are politicians. And I don't mean that in a bad way. If you are to give a politician anything, they treat it politically and they use it politically. And that is why we are seeing all these issues of HR management, because we are being managed politically. But if you look at the sectors, the critical sectors that have a commission, the Teacher Service Commission, the Judiciary Service Commission, the Parliamentary Service Commission, the Police Service Commission, you will never hear of small HR management problems taking them to a strike. And I'm sure you have never heard that. So I think we made a mistake as Kenyans, and the sooner we realize that and talk to our leaders so that they can be able to establish a health service commission, then the better it will be for us, because they don't want to do that. I know that the governors, a number of them are actually opposed to it, and I would urge them to be able to come so that we can be able to reason together as Kenyans, so that we can be able to correct the mistake that we made and actually strengthen devolution. Because if we were to take the HR and manage them centrally, the counties with the finances they have, they'll be able to look at the other components of a good healthcare system and strengthen them, and then we are going to actually have better services at the county level than now when they are trying to employ, they don't have funds, then they have to have arrears of even up to 15 months. People cannot actually be able to work anymore, just because you want to hold on it for political reasons. And that is why I'm saying we must be candid with each other and come and say, look, it has been a good 7 years, we have tried, and we can see that we are not managing. So let us rethink, and then we can be able to reformat, and we can decide that let us take this component and manage it elsewhere. And we are not asking to go back to national government. We are asking to go to an independent commission so that we can strengthen the health services in this country. And let me tell you one thing. It is very unfortunate that if we continue the way we are doing, in the next 20 to 30 minutes, I can assure you we will not have a health system that we can actually be proud of. If you will need a consultant, you will actually have to go outside Kenya, to Tanzania or Uganda to get one, because they have adopted an employment policy of contracts, 3 to 5 year contract. So in about 20 to 30 years, some of us who are on PNP will have actually gone home, and you'll have everybody on contract, and then that will mean that you cannot go back and specialize. And so you'll not have specialists for simple things that you could have done here. You will go to another country, and the quality is going to come down, and we will never give the right to the highest attainable standards of health to Kenyans as it has been envisioned in the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Boaz, your remarks on what the COG is saying in regard to they do not have money to meet the demands that you have.
You know, the number one, they should not take us for granted.
Maybe they are sincere, they don't have the money.
If they are sincere, you remember one time the COG chair telling the country to shut down because they had not received monies. So he wanted Kenyans to strike because they had not gotten monies. But now we have issues that have to be addressed, and the national government, or rather treasury, is not releasing funds. Should we be blamed? The government is one, whether we are the county government or the national government. The challenges that we're facing are squarely lies with both employers. So if the government is serious, the people charged with responsibilities of disbursing that money to the counties are serious. These are issues that can be resolved. We haven't heard from Treasury the challenges as to why that monies have been. So how are we able to tell that indeed the governors are sincere when this other end that is supposed to release those funds has not given part of their side. Yes.
So how great of a challenge is lack of adequate and quality personal protective equipment? Because both the COG and the Minister of Health have been on record saying they are providing that. Apart from what is, let's not look at what is lying at KEMSA, but they have been on record saying they are ensuring that the healthcare workers on the front line have enough PPEs.
I can tell you, Purity, and I want to repeat, there is no madman or woman who could come and say, indeed, we don't have PPEs when we have them. This is a song that we have sung for days now. So, and I want to tell this, the governors and the employers, stop lying to Kenyans. We are suffering and we have suffered enough. No one wants to take risk when we know what is ahead of us. So when we are saying that we are not protected, and I want to tell Kenyans that when we're saying that we need to be protected, we are looking on both ends. If I'm protected, I'm able to protect you and offer services that you require. But if I'm not protected, then I'm exposing you the more. Remember, we are using public means of transport. We are mingling and interacting with our colleagues and fellow Kenyans. So if at my workplace I'm endangered, it is not safe, then I'm now the super spreader of this COVID-19. So that is why we are insisting. Yes, we even if there are challenges, but at least let them put that effort to ensure that our environments are safe. Remember, for you to be productive, you must be physically, mentally, and socially well for you to offer your services as required. So if these issues are not met, then I'm telling you, Purity, we are headed towards a dangerous direction. Yes.
Peterson, the Minister of Health, one of the officials had said that medics are also Kenyans and some could be contracting the virus even at home, you know. So let's talk about the risk of medics on the front line in fighting COVID-19. How exposed are they? Paint the picture for us.
Yeah, thank you. And I think we need to start by defining frontline, because I think that is where we have a problem. I think when the governors and sometimes the MOH talk about frontline, they're only thinking about the COVID-19 isolation quarantine centers, but that is not the actual frontline. The real frontline is that dispensary somewhere, the local health center, a health center somewhere, where somebody presents, where the medic there has no knowledge of what this person is suffering from, and they actually have to clerk them and make a diagnosis, and then they can be able to say, hey, this guy might be having COVID-19. If you look at the infections that we're actually getting, most of them, and including deaths, are coming from those low-tier facilities. So that is, the front line starts from that level, from the tier 1 of the health facility, all the way. The protective equipment that we're actually having are the ones which were donated by Equity Bank Foundation under the COVID-19 fund that was established by His Excellency the President, and I think we must be able to thank all those who came forth and have actually been able to help us procure those, which went to only level 5 hospitals, which are now county hospitals. They never trickled down to the other levels. That is the problem we are having. The governors have not been able to purchase, to be able to provide sufficient PPE to the other levels. There are some dispensaries where they have never seen an N95. I can assure you of that. If you do a spot check in even those counties where you have some contracted staff being forced to work, you'll find them with a surgical mask, some of them even doing nebulization. I know of some hospitals where ENT specialists who work where the virus colonizes are actually made to work in the same surgical masks. So, as I said, we have a situation where you are having an environment where you have not been provided with adequate protective gear. You have not been provided an adequate cover. An adequate cover, I mean this. The CEO and HIF came out and said that this cover will only cover those in public facilities. But then you will not be able to find an ICU bed in any public facility. So you have to actually go to a private facility. So that means we are actually not covered if we are going into a critical illness, even as medics. So simply, what they are telling you is that you are not covered, but in a language that you may think that they're actually telling you are covered. Then, those on contracts are not covered. Those who joined devolved governments after 2013 are also not covered. And then you don't have a group life to be able to cover you. So there is a lot of anxiety on the ground because we are fully aware that we are working under risk. We can contract COVID-19 at any point. We don't have a cover once we fall sick. You saw us trying to fundraise for our colleague who succumbed from COVID-19 complications, Victor Tioni from Nandi County. And I thank all that have been able to contribute. So that is the real problem, that there is a lot of anxiety. We feel that we have actually been left on our own. Okay. And that is why it has reached a point where we actually had to step out and tell the government that it's either you prioritize or then we all find our safety where we can.
We have a minute to wind up, but not before asking you. The head of state yesterday said that he acknowledged the challenges that are facing the healthcare sector and said his government is addressing them. Getting into the second week, but you also talked about the urgency of your demands. So what would you say to the head of state and the employer?
I could want first to thank the president for that good gesture. And you remember, and I want to remind other Kenyans that the president was even the first person to show or come into solidarity with the health workers during what now we call maybe phase one of this pandemic. The president went ahead and actually gave us a COVID allowance that was for 3 months. That was an indication that indeed we are working under extreme conditions that are not favorable. So what makes it that now we have to continue when even the rates of the rates of infections are going higher, but then that now allowance was withdrawn. So I want to tell the president that we acknowledge and we want him to move with speed because he's the father of this nation, and if indeed he wants us to go back to work, then let him ensure that the people charged are doing what is supposed to be done. Let them meet our demands, then we'll go back to our station.
Make it 30 seconds, Peterson. 30
Thank
seconds.
you. That's my camera?
Yes.
Yes. Dear Mr. President, the Constitution of Kenya and Article 43 gives every Kenyan the right to the highest attainable standards of health. As the health sector is currently constituted and managed, we cannot be able to achieve this because in the past 7 years, we have seen HR management issues cripple the health sector and become a threat to the attainment of the quality services that you want to offer under UHC. We want to pray that you can call us so that we can be able to talk and find a lasting solution to ensure that we do not have this disruption of services, and that is by establishing a health service commission that will be able to manage the human resources in the health sector.
Okay, thank you so much, Peterson Wachira, Chair, the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, and Boaz Onchari, Chair, the Kenya National Union of Nurses, Nairobi branch. Thank you so much for coming to our show tonight and discussing matters welfare of healthcare workers. We hope they will be addressed, and beginning tomorrow, you may call off your strike.
Thanks for hosting us. Okay. I don't think we will.
You can. All right.
If they resolve, we shall.
Yes. Okay, if they resolve. All right. Yes. Thank you so much all for watching Family Matters tonight. And I've been speaking with officials from the KUKO, the clinical officers and the nurses, and they say the strike continues week 2 tomorrow. We just hope and pray that they are going to reach a consensus and go back to work at this critical time that the country is battling the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm Purity Museo. Simon Karodha has been a sign language interpreter tonight. Do enjoy the rest of our programming and have a lovely week ahead. God bless.
Vera Beauty College.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College, with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Thika, and Meru. Did you know that we are a TVET-approved institution? We offer courses in fashion design, interior design in soft furnishing, event decoration, flower arrangement, event planning, hairdressing, barbering and dreadlocks, beauty therapy, makeup, nail technology, spa massages, teaching skills, TOT, solo business management, and many more. Register now and visit our website on www.verabeautycollege.com. You can also call on 0725 923 550 Nairobi branch, 0728 087 689 Eldoret branch, 0722 227428 Thika branch, 0725 000 706 Meru branch. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, a TVET approved institution.